The past year was a very difficult one for Jill Duggar. Each and every parent's greatest nightmare was something that the Duggar news star had to go through. It was around the time that she was required to make the announcement that her fourth child, Isla Marie Dillard, had passed away. Both she and her husband, Derek Dillard, were anticipating that this year would be filled with happiness. However, things did not turn out the way they had planned for them to. Jill's social media accounts have turned into a depressing environment. In addition, it was revealed that Jill had also organized a funeral service for her infant daughter, at which her relatives and friends gathered to show their support for her. As a means of coping with her loss, the celebrity has published a number of pieces that are dedicated to her daughter since that time. Over the course of time, the family is gradually and consistently showing signs of improvement. In the piece that Jill wrote about her late daughter, she discussed a lot of painful topics and opened up about them. The heartbreaking loss that Jill Duggar is going through suffered a stillbirth. The years that Jill Duggar has been going through are the most difficult in her entire life. Those who follow Duggar news are aware of the amount of pain she has had to go through since she was a toddler. Eventually, things began to improve for her when she tied the knot with Derek Dillard and gave birth to 3 amazing children. Nevertheless, Jill experienced a stillbirth when she was 4 months pregnant with their 4th child with the couple. It was a loss that was really awful. In addition, Jill and Derek wrote a blog entry that was full of emotion and dedicated it to their daughter. Everyone, including the watchers, went through an extremely distressing phase during this time. Still, they desired for each and every one of them to be strong. As more time passed, Jill continued to dedicate blogs to her daughter-to-be because she found that doing so helped her cope with the situation. Following an initial period of fear, fans have come to the realization that she is currently in good health. The fact that Jill discusses her daughter on the anniversary of her passing makes her more vulnerable. The past year has not been the most successful for Jill Duggar. In August of 2024, her family was forced to come to terms with the fact that their daughter, Isabel Marie, had passed away before her birth. Those who followed Duggar news have expressed their sympathy to them. In light of the fact that it will soon be a year since such a terrible event occurred in their lives, Jill has been posting in an effort to pay tribute to and remember her devoted daughter. Jill recently published a new post in which she included a picture of an ultrasound of her unborn child. She reflected on the times when her daughter would give her a wave and dance while she was being monitored by the ultrasound machine. Prior to this, she and Derek had discussed the possibility of keeping the news of their pregnancy to themselves until that point. Things took a dramatic turn for the worst when they went to yet another visit and discovered that their child was not present with them despite their best efforts. The fact that Jill was only 4 months pregnant when they had to give up Isla was something that she had mentioned in a number of postings. A peek of the star's joyous moment was something she wanted to share with everyone. Due to the fact that the family was unable to share their joyful moments with her before she passed away, she desired to do so. Everyone felt an emotional response to the message, and viewers expressed their hope that the family would find strength. The final statement that Jill made in the post was that if Isla had been with them at this point, she would have either begun taking swimming lessons or would have been chasing after her siblings. Keep an eye on Bombshell 25 for additional details regarding the Duggar family. The painful silence. Jill Duggar Dillard, the eldest daughter of Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, has been a beloved figure to many who have watched her grow up on the reality TV series 19 Kids and Counting and its spin-off, Counting On. Known for her faith-driven perspective and her role as a loving sister, wife, and mother, Jill's life has been anything but ordinary. Yet, despite the cameras following her every move, one deeply personal story has been left untold for years: the heartbreaking loss of her daughter. In a deeply emotional and candid interview, Jill finally opens up about the grief she had long kept to herself. The painful journey of losing her daughter, navigating the aftermath, and ultimately finding healing is a story that will resonate with many. Jill, who has always carried a sense of duty and responsibility toward her family and fans, now chooses to reveal the raw and vulnerable side of herself that she has kept hidden for so long. For Jill, this isn't just about sharing her pain. It's about reclaiming her story and finding strength in the process of healing. Jill Duggar's early life, the burden of perfection. Jill Duggar's upbringing was marked by the spotlight from a young age. As the oldest of 19 children, she was often tasked with taking on adult responsibilities while still in her teens. The Duggar family was known for its strict adherence to Christian values, homeschooling, and an emphasis on modesty. Jill's early life was filled with the routines of large family dynamics, church activities, and an ever-watchful public eye due to the success of 19 kids and counting. From the outside, Jill's life appeared to be perfect, a young woman raised in a devout family, full of faith and certainty. However, beneath the surface, Jill faced challenges. She was expected to uphold the family's image while balancing the demands of motherhood and wifehood, all under the gaze of millions of viewers. Her marriage to Derek Dillard, which aired on 19 Kids and Counting, marked the beginning of a new chapter in her life. The couple was soon expecting their first child, Israel David Dillard, and Jill embraced the role of a mother with the same passion and devotion she had toward her family. But it was clear that this new season of life would be far from easy. The joys and struggles of motherhood. As Jill and Derek started their family, they shared their journey with fans. The birth of Israel in 2015 was celebrated by fans, as they had witnessed Jill's growth from a child in a large family to a young woman navigating the challenges of raising her own. However, Jill's path to motherhood was not without its struggles. Jill faced the typical challenges of being a new mother, sleepless nights, balancing the needs of her husband and baby, and figuring out how to manage life under the public microscope. But there was also a deeper personal journey she was navigating, one that she would later reveal to her fans and the world. Jill struggled with reconciling her family's expectations of her and her growing sense of independence. The Duggar family's rigid rules on relationships, marriage, and faith meant that Jill's every choice was often under scrutiny. While she had a strong connection to her faith, there were moments where she questioned the choices that had been made for her and the way the family dynamic shaped her understanding of herself and her role. This internal conflict was just the beginning of Jill's emotional and spiritual journey, which would take an unexpected turn as she faced the ultimate tragedy. The unexpected pregnancy, a hopeful start. Jill and Derek had always expressed their desire to have a large family. When Jill found out she was pregnant again, they were overjoyed. The couple shared their excitement with their followers, showing pictures of ultrasounds, baby bumps, and snippets of their preparations for another child. But from the very beginning, there were signs that this pregnancy would be different. Jill experienced complications early on. During her first visits to the doctor, she learned that this pregnancy could be more difficult than her previous ones. Doctors expressed concerns, but Jill, ever hopeful and trusting in her faith, remained positive. For weeks, she stayed optimistic, leaning on her family, Derek, and her belief that things would turn out well. However, as the weeks went on, Jill began to experience more medical complications. It was clear that this pregnancy was fraught with difficulties. Despite the best efforts of her medical team, Jill would soon face a devastating reality. Her daughter's life was in jeopardy. The heartbreaking loss. The day Jill and Derek received the news that they would lose their daughter was a moment that would change their lives forever. The emotional toll of the loss was something Jill had never prepared for. She had dreamed of holding her daughter in her arms, just as she had with her sons, but that dream was now shattered. Jill's grief was compounded by the fact that she had to navigate her loss in the public eye. While she had kept much of her pain private at first, there were many who noticed that something was off. Jill continued to post on social media, but it became clear that she was struggling. Her fans, who had followed her every move, rallied around her in support, though Jill found herself retreating further into her personal life. The pain of losing a child is something that many parents experience, but Jill's grief was made even more intense by the pressure of living up to the expectations set by her family and her public persona. The loss of her daughter left Jill questioning her own faith, her identity as a mother, and the reality of being a public figure in the midst of personal tragedy. The aftermath, struggling with faith and identity. In the months following her loss, Jill was forced to reconcile the pain of her experience with the strong faith that had always been a cornerstone of her identity. She questioned everything. Why had this happened? Was it a test of her faith? Was she being punished? These were questions she couldn't easily answer, and the answers she found didn't always provide her with comfort. Jill began to feel isolated. Though she had her family's support, her grief was something that no one else could fully understand. As a result, Jill started to pull away from the public eye, focusing more on her healing and her relationship with Derek. During this time, Jill also began to explore her relationship with her parents, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, and their influence on her life. Her marriage, though strong, was also tested. Derek was there for her, supporting her through the darkest moments. Yet even he couldn't fully understand the depth of Jill's grief. The couple worked through their sorrow together, though it was a process that took time. As Jill began to open up more to her followers, she shared glimpses of her emotional recovery, her struggles with faith, and her journey toward healing. Through this vulnerability, Jill found a way to move forward, though she would never forget her daughter. The road to healing and moving forward. Jill's decision to speak publicly about the loss of her daughter was not made lightly. She knew that sharing her story could inspire others who had experienced similar grief. She also recognized that her journey toward healing was a lifelong process. There would be good days, bad days, and moments of intense sorrow. Yet Jill found strength in the love of her family, her faith, and her ability to move forward. She continues to raise her sons, Israel and Samuel, with a renewed sense of appreciation for life's blessings. Though she will never forget her daughter, Jill has learned to honor her memory in a way that allows her to heal while still embracing the future. Jill's decision to speak about her loss in such an open way has been a source of comfort for many who have followed her journey. In her vulnerability, she has found strength, and in her story, others have found healing. The strength in vulnerability. Jill Duggar's journey of loss, faith, and healing is one that many can relate to. Her decision to open up about her daughter's passing is not just about her personal grief, but a message to others who are navigating similar losses. By speaking out, Jill has shown that strength does not come from perfection, but from vulnerability and the willingness to heal, even when the road ahead seems uncertain. As Jill continues to move forward, her journey will undoubtedly inspire others who have faced heartbreaking losses of their own. And in the process, she will continue to honor the memory of her daughter, one that will forever remain in her heart.